this evening's live training. So tonight we're going to talk about how to pull $10,000 to $20,000 per month out of your website like clockwork. Is there supposed to be a comma there? I'm not sure. But anyways, most dog trainers are sitting on an asset and they have no idea that they're sitting on such an asset. They don't know any of the numbers that surround their website. And so we're going to be talking about that tonight and talking about what you can do to change that and how there's a lot of folks that with just a few little tweaks can pull $10,000 to $20,000 per month out of their website every single month like clockwork from something that they already have. And so, this could even be people that they might have had a business for a while. They might be doing $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. They might be stuck at a certain plateau, but oftentimes just changing what I'm going to talk about tonight can often push them to $10,000 to $20,000 per month out of their website like clockwork. All right, so first off, what we need to do is we need to look at a handful of things here. Because if we're going to pull $10,000 to $20,000 a month out of the website, there's a few things that we've got to do. Number one, we've got to have a killer offer. And our offer needs to be a high-priced offer. Because frankly, if you're trying to pull $10,000 or $20,000 a month out of your dog training business from your website, and you're selling $100 or $200 stuff, it's not going to be easy. And it's going to be, making 100 sales a month is not so fun or easy, when they're all at $100 to $200. But also, for folks that often tell me, well, I want to make sure that everyone's got the ability to use my services, even if it's lower price. I want to make my services available to everybody. Consider what you're saying. You cannot serve somebody very well at $200. You can't. And anybody that says that they can give world-class service for $200 is either A, lying, or B, is giving world-class service, but they're killing themselves because they're working way too hard. Because frankly, you can't give world-class service and world-class results at $200 unless you are valuing your time at next to nothing. And so that doesn't mean gouge at all. All prices, premium pricing should be something that's very valuable to the client, something that they're happy to pay. So there's not any sort of gouging or anything unethical. It's simply recognizing the problems that people have and the value that they place on the problem and coming up with programs that are designed to solve their entire problem and give them some great service. If someone's got, some real problems, $200 is not enough, cannot buy enough solution from you to solve all of their problems. All you can do is kind of make them one or two steps closer. And so is that the kind of business that you want to have where you're just getting people closer to their goal? Or do you want to have a transformative type business where you help people arrive at a goal and that's what you're known for? So anyways, you need to have a high-priced offer if you're going to pull $10,000 to $20,000 per month out of your website. Now, I think that most dog trainers in most markets, and I'm talking United States, Canada, even Australia and the UK, although I know that the exchange is a little bit different. But I think that most dog trainers, if they're going to have a board and train, should have a board and train somewhere between $2,000 and $3,500. And then they should have a private training program that's usually somewhere between $1,000 to $2,000. With looking to get your average ticket $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, somewhere along those lines. That's our goal. Because in those price ranges, it allows you to do things for your clients that are transformative. It allows you to literally change their life. You don't hardly, I have, but you hardly ever see somebody come out of a $150 group class or a $300 private, program that was 3 sessions saying my life has changed. Whereas somebody that's doing high-priced premium offers and really helping people on deep levels has lots of people saying my life was changed. So start here, start with a high-priced offer. Then from there, once we've got that high-priced offer, it's all about the math. Now, Remember back to school? I don't know if you like math or not. I wasn't a big fan, but this math is going to be fairly simple because there's certain components of getting to $10,000 or $20,000 a month that are simply just plugging in the right numbers. All right, so here's some numbers. So the first number I want to look at with you is conversion rate. Now, you may or may not be able to do this right now, but this is something I want you to look at. So conversion rate for traffic to leads. So when I say conversion rate for traffic to leads, what I mean is how many visitors to get one lead. Now this is somewhat easy to figure out. If you have Google Analytics on your website, Google Analytics will tell you how many people came to your site over the course of a month, for example. So that's what you do. You look at your numbers, 1 month, and then you divide the amount of leads that you get. Now, a lead, oftentimes it can be kind of easy to calculate it if we're talking like a form fill out. They fill out a form on your website. It's harder to calculate, once we're looking at phone calls, maybe just straight emails. So do your best to calculate it. And so X amount of people come to your website, you get Y amount of leads. What's that percentage? Now, I don't know if there's an industry-wide, but having worked with a lot of dog trainers, I find that usually when I meet a dog trainer for the first time, their conversion rate is 1 to 4%. So they get 100 visitors to their website and they'll get 1 to 4 leads out of that. That's pretty typical, with 2 or 3% being what I see almost every time. Almost every time I see people at 2 to 3%. So from there, let's look at our conversion rate of, let me do this, leads to sales conversations. Now, sales conversations is, that's a tough one. A sales conversation can be a back and forth in an email, like, hey, what's your pricing? All right, tell me about this, do this. A sales conversation could be over the phone. A sales conversation could be an in-person consult. A sales conversation could be a variety of things, but generally I'm going to say that a sales conversation is, excuse me, a sales conversation is where you're able to present your pricing in the context of value. And so if somebody calls on the phone and says, how much is your training? And you say it's $1,000, that's not a sales conversation. You weren't able to, maybe not that you weren't able, you didn't really explain your value. You didn't figure out what's going on with them. You didn't match your program to their pain and to their problems. It wasn't much of a sales conversation. And so a sales conversation is something where you can dig and get some information about them and their dog and figure out if you're a good match, figure out how well you can serve them, and then to present a solution with a price. We're going to call that a sales conversation. So a lot of folks, no one ever really tracks this. I find that there's a number to shoot for here, and the number to shoot for is 10 to 20%, and I'll explain why here in a little bit. And so that's our leads to sales conversations. And then we've got one more to track: conversion rate of sales conversations to sales. So how many sales conversations do you need to have in order to get the revenue that you're looking for? Okay. So sales conversation. Oh no, sorry. I was going off on a tangent. How many conversations you have to get a sale? And I've seen this all over the place, same type of thing. And it depends on if you're doing it over the phone, doing it in person. I sell a lot over the phone. My conversion rate is good, but people that sell in person have a better conversion rate. But I don't have to drive anywhere. I can do it from anywhere. And so to me, I get a lot of leads, and so it works out just fine. Somebody that is maybe not getting a ton of leads might want to consider doing in-person consultations at first. It just kind of depends. So like I say, I would say that the number to shoot for is anywhere between about 50 and 70%. If you're closing on the phone, getting 40 or 50% is quite good. If you're closing in person, getting 60 to 70% is quite good. Now, again, these are just random numbers. Not random numbers. These are just average numbers. So, because I talk with some people that say, well, I close 90% or I close 95%. And that's awesome. But usually when somebody's closing at 90 or 95%, they've got very low hanging fruit, or they put in an enormous amount of work ahead of time. So what I mean by both is low hanging fruit would be somebody comes from a referral, they're building their whole business based on referrals. And so by the time they come to you, their friend talked you up so much and they know the price, they know everything. And so you're not selling anything, you're an order taker at that point. And so oftentimes those people are at 90% because they just are taking orders. There's no actual skill set in the sale. Whereas, like I say, some other people, they do so much pre-qualifying. You have to fill out long forms. You have to do this, that, and the other. You have to, the people have to, swear to you that they've watched the videos that you want them to watch, stuff like that. And oftentimes those conversion rates can be more like 90 or 95%. Now you're going to have a lot less here on leads to sales conversations, but for some people it's worth it because they get enough leads. But anyway, so like I say, that's where these numbers just kind of are numbers that I've seen across the board as far as what we're shooting for. Like I say, I don't know what the average rate here is. I don't know what the average rate here is because I don't know any trainers that track it. I do know the average rate here simply because I've talked to so many dog trainers and we have tracked it. And so like I say, going off of the low numbers here, this is where the math is pretty darn awesome about optimization. So let's say you're like the average dog trainer, and again, average is all over the place, but all of the dog trainers that I speak with, their average revenue, I'm going to put it around $700 per client. Okay? And so let's do some math here. Now, some are more, some are less, but obviously that's kind of an average. And so $700 per client is pretty typical of what I see for dog trainers. So if you want if you want $10,000 to $20,000, here's what it's going to be tough. So here's what it's going to look like: 100 visitors, and so let's say we're right in the middle here, 2%. That's pretty typical. So somebody gets 100 visitors, and we're going to go kind of the low end of these numbers. We're going to low end on conversion rate here, low end on conversion rate here, because I want to talk about the power of optimizing certain points in your sales process, and just how changing things a little bit can make your income go crazy. So 100 visitors, let's say you've got a 2% conversion rate. We're talking 2 leads, right? I'm gonna have to go more here because otherwise I can't do the math. Let's say we got 1,000 visitors in a month. We're gonna get 20 leads from that, right? Now, if our conversion rate of leads to sales conversions on the low end, we're going to get about 2 sales conversations. And if we're on the low end here, where our conversion rate of sales conversations to sales is 50%, let me know if you're with me. So if we're 50%, we're going to get 1 sale. So 1,000 visitors to your website turned into 1 sale. So if you want $10,000 a month, let me do some math here. I'm going to grab my calculator. What do I want to do here? So 10,000, divide that by 700, your average client. You're going to need 14.2 clients. Multiply that by 1,000 visitors to get there. You're going to need 14,000 visitors to your website. That's hard. That is very hard when your systems are not optimized. I'm going to show you here in a second how 500 visitors can give you a $10,000 business, very literally, if you optimize every point of this process. But yeah, so like I say, if you want that $10,000 business, 14,000 people have to come to your website every month to do that. That's not easy. All right, so like I say, we're going to adjust some stuff here. And we are going to triple our value. And some people might say, how can I triple my value? I can't do that. We do that all the time. You triple your value by creating value-based programs that sell based off of results and sell based off of outcomes and not selling based off of time. I've got whole other podcasts that I've done, so I'm not going to get deep into that. But getting $2,000 per client is not crazy. It's not a pipe dream. We do it all day long, and we stay busy with 7 trainers in Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City is a medium-sized market, and we get $2,000 per client all day long and keep a ton of trainers busy. And so it is very doable. All right. So let's now go to our conversion rate. And let's say our conversion rate is, what I tell people, a good benchmark is about 10 to 15%. Meaning, and a lot of trainers start out at that 1 to 4%, and by making changes on their website, making changes in their copy, making changes in the lead generation mechanisms, those are the things that you put on your website that inspire people to become a lead and reach out to you, things like that. 10 to 15% is very doable for most people. And so if we're at 10 to 15%, and we're at those 1,000 leads, and let's go on the low end, we just got 100 leads, right? That's a lot of leads. You can have a really good business out of that. Now, let's say our conversion rate of leads to sales conversations gets a little bit better, 15% versus 10. We are going to have, so we're going to have 15% conversion rate. So that's going to be 15 sales conversations. And let's say we just improve a little bit off of, 50% to 60%. So 15 times 60 is 9. So that's going to equal 9 sales, which equals $18,000. So before 1,000 visitors equals $700. By improving your website, and like I say, these are not crazy numbers. Well, number one, by improving your program, and almost every dog trainer, well, not every. In fact, I've had some conversations recently with dog trainers that their programs are actually pretty well priced, but everything else is wrong. But anyways, getting your value to, if your value was $1,500 per client, now you're worth, that $18,000 is $13,500. But you can see what I mean, that if you get your client value up because you're now selling results and you're selling, and when I say selling results, I don't mean do as many sessions as you need to. I'm talking about still selling high ticket and having a high margin, but selling outcomes on what they can expect when they're done. This makes such a big difference. And very frequently, the same people that were paying $700 will pay $2,000 when you present it a different way. So when we get that number up and we can get the conversion rate on the website, what is very reasonable, like I say, 10% is very reasonable. Even if you're at 8%, we're still looking at a really good, revenue here. If we can get the sales conversations up, to 50%, or sorry, to 15% here and 60% here, literally, like I say, making little changes there equals $18,000. Now, where I find is very, very typical is that 500 visitors equals $10,000 when you're doing it well. So 500 visitors for most dog trainers in most areas is very, very doable. It might be tough in like certain areas where you're really out in the remote sticks and it's very rural. But getting 500 visitors is to a website every month is very doable. And when we do, and we've got some just optimized numbers, but not crazy, but just very good optimized numbers, 500 visitors equals, equals 50 leads, which equals 10 sales conversations, which equals 5 sales. And so, which equals, if they're $2,000 each, $10,000. So, do you want to know how to get $10,000 a month from your from your website, from your dog training business? I just showed you exactly how to do it. Get 500 visitors, have a website that converts well so that you get 50 leads from it. Have a process after they convert into a lead, an automated process using email, text, stuff like that, to convert them into sales conversations, and then have a sales process during those sales conversations to turn them into sales. If you have a process for every single point along this road, 500 visitors can turn into $10,000. These are very real numbers. And so sometimes I talk with dog trainers and they're already at 10,000, they want to go more. This is just a math game at this point. If you want $20,000, we need 100 visitors. Or nope, not 100. We need 1,000 visitors to get to $20,000. What if you want $100,000? Can you do it? Why not? Can you get, am I doing my math right here? So $100,000, so 5,000 visitors equals $100,000 a month. And I can tell you from experience, because we do more than $100,000 a month, that sometimes you can even get less than this number. Once you start climbing into these numbers here, a lot of these visitors are far more optimized because now you've had a lot of clients and you're getting way more referrals and things like that. And so if you're just going straight numbers, 5,000 visitors can get you $100,000. But if you've been in business for a few years, several years, and you're looking to, you're really looking to optimize and you're really looking to grow, and you've got great referrals and you've got a great name in the community, you might not even need 5,000 visitors to get to $100,000 in a month, and have several trainers working for you and make a great living doing what it is that you love. Or maybe you want to stay at this number here, this 10,000. Well, getting 500 visitors is easy. Getting 14,000 is tough. And so which would you rather do? Would you rather optimize the process or would you rather keep spinning your wheels to get where you get? Now, like I say, I call them discovery calls. I do a lot of discovery calls with dog trainers. I find that most of them have no idea what any of these numbers are. They don't know how many visitors they're getting. They don't know how many leads they're getting. They don't know how many sales conversations they're having, and they don't even know how many sales they're having. And so these are some of the most important metrics for your business, some of the most important numbers you could ever have. And so it's critical that you get to know them so that you can figure out what to optimize within those. Because like I say, I meet a lot of dog trainers for the first time. They've got this 500 and it corresponds with 2,000 over here or 3,000 over here. And the exact asset that they're sitting on could be $10,000 every month. And that actually just drives me crazy to think that somebody's making $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 a month and could have 10,000 if they just fix these parts of their business, but they won't do it. Makes me want to punch my pillow. I'm not going to punch my pillow. I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to invite you down in the comment section below. I've put a link where I put an entire big old blueprint on how to get $10,000 to $20,000. I mean, this is a really good overview showing you how the math works. But I've created a blueprint on how you do a lot of these things that I'm talking about in here. Go down below, click on the link. You're going to be able to get that. I'm actually giving away a free book as well. And so make sure you check that out. But how to pull $10,000 to $20,000 per month out of your website like clockwork is a math problem. And this all averages out. When you can get these numbers and you've got enough of them and you do it over the course of a year, you can literally look and see, cool, I want more money because I've got a new trainer. Let me get more traffic to my website, and that's all you have to do. I mean, I know that sounds simple, but once you get to a certain point, there is a lot of simplicity in making something like this grow, and the problem that you run into is having enough trainers to take care of the demand. So these are your numbers. Get this 1% to 4% up to 8% to 12%. Get this $700 up to $1,500 to $2,000. Oops. And fix these, get these numbers a little bit higher down here. Boom. You've got the money that you're looking for. Thanks for coming out. Go down below, click that link, and we'll be talking to you soon.